3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Queen Stage. We're here to spotlight the athletes, stories, and action in women's cycling, giving the sport the attention it deserves. And we're going to do so with the quality, depth, and personality the sport demands.
I'm Rosael Torres-Davis.
I'm Betsy Welch. I'm Anne-Marije Rook.
And I'm Molly Hurford.
Oh my god. Yeah.
A lot of touching of elbows there.
Oh my god.
Oh. See, I wish Voss and Puck had been able to be up here because I think they actually would have had such a good, if they had just been able to get up the hill, these corners.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, Elise Chavi. Oh my goodness.
And
that
she's
was
so shocked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in the end it was FDJ. It was FDJ in the end with their new name, FDJ United Suez, right?
Oh my god. Rosael, we probably got to do the intro. I think we should do the intro.
Let me stop sharing the screen. Okay. All right. So you can see me now, right? Okay. Oh my goodness. Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Queen Stage Women's Cycling Podcast. We're so excited to be back this season and we have some fantastic new sponsors joining us this year. Please stay tuned for more. As always, please tell all your friends about Queen Stage and don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Also consider leaving a rating or a review. It really helps other fans of women's cycling find the show. Before we dive in, a big thank you to Sean Small of Rook's Composites for creating and supporting the show. Rook specializes in carbon repair inspection and engineering, helping riders bring damaged bikes back to life and keep high-performance gear on the road. With roots in both cycling and aerospace composites, they know carbon fiber inside and out. I'm your co-host, Rosael Torres-Davis, and I'm joined today by
Molly Hurford. Hello.
And
Anne-Marije Rook. Hi.
Hi. And Betsy Welch is on assignment somewhere remote and can only be reached by satellite. So please do not worry. She'll be joining us in future episodes. And today we're breaking down Strade Bianche Donne and the official season opener, Omloop Het Nieuwsblad. Let's get into it. Take it away, Molly.
But wait, before we...
Okay, go ahead.
It's March, and it's Women's History Month. So I just wanted to thank everyone for listening and supporting to this show. The listening, subscribing, and sharing the podcast helps elevate women's cycling and the stories of the athletes that we love to follow. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening.
All right, let's get into Strade Bianche Donne. As you heard there in the intro, we watched the last kilometer. That was so intense, so fun, but there was so much that happened before that. 11 gravel sectors, over 133 kilometers. The win time was 3:35, so this is a fast race. Really not a whole lot happening. Couple little early crashes, and then there was a crash in the Vidrida section of gravel that really split the peloton. Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, PFP, had to chase back on, but otherwise, really just some small attacks in the beginning, nothing too wild. Then we hit the San Martino in Grania sector, and that is where the peloton completely blew up. Couple crashes on that sector, 30 riders go off the front. We have about 60 kilometers to go. Most of the major players and teams are in place. FDJ is really, really strong in this race in particular. They've got a lot of riders in there. And so we see a lot of them start attacking. So we have Elise Chavi and Francie Coq start attacking. The current world champion, Canadian Magdalene Valieres, is also up there. So does Marianne Vos. And I have feelings about Vos making some early attacks. I love it. But the big news comes when PFP, who was one of the race favorites, is suddenly out of contention because she has a mechanical and has to stop and wait for the team car. Then, right after that, Demi Vollering has a mechanical that also drops her back. So now we've split this 30-rider peloton into the 30 riders up front into the leaders, about 13 of them, and then a chase group, including Vollering. And now it gets wild. Vollering's group. We have Lotte Kopecky. We've got the big riders in this group. They're about a minute back. And then the moto that's leading them takes a wrong turn, takes them a minute off course down a gravel descent. They have to stop. They have to turn around. They have to get back on. They're 3 minutes behind. There's no way. So now we've just got
stressful.
Oh my God. I've never been more stressed watching a race, screaming at. We're gonna have to unpack this one.
Yeah.
But up front, we have a group of 13. We have Elise Chabet, Francie Koch, Kasia Niewiadoma, Magdalena Valieres, Naomi Rook, Huck Peters, Sharon Van Andrey, Niamh Fisher-Black, Trinka Kernel, Mariana Voss, Alyssa Longo-Borghini, and Dominika Lodarczyk. That's a pretty solid 13. And you know what? We can't even recap all of the attacks, all of the punchy little moments. It's just attack after attack, group after group, little groups of 2s and 3s going off the front. Every gravel sector was so intense. And we have 7 riders come into that last 500 meters together. And the final climb, those twists, those turns into the finish was just wild. Mariana Voss couldn't hang on. Puck couldn't hang on. Magdalena couldn't hang on. Alyssa could hang on, but got closed out in the corner. So finally, Elise Chabet took the perfectly played sprint win ahead of Kasia Niewiadoma and Francie Koch. What a race. Just what a race.
Yeah.
This is what we pray for with racing.
And another podium for Kasia. How many second and third places does she have now? It must be so infuriating, and it is one of her favorite races of the year.
She keeps surprising me because every time I'm like, she doesn't have it. And then she's still there. But on this race too, I was like, I'm not sure if she has it. And then my money was on Lisa Longo-Borghini personally. In that final climb, I was like, here she goes. She was the youngest person to ever win this back in 2017. And I thought she was going to do it again here, nearly 9 years later. So,
and I think that just came down to that corner, right? All 4 of them kind of had that awkward turn where I think if she hadn't kind of had to hit the brakes during that, I think you're right. I think she would have had it.
Well, she also did so much work leading up to that. My goodness, it was just her pulling first Kasia along, and then I forget who she was pulling next, but it was constantly her in the front. Chabet, that's right. Yeah. So, she had burned quite a few matches.
Yeah, and by the way, where do you all watch the race?
I watched the Belgian feed.
Okay.
So Sporza, yeah.
Yeah, I watched on Flow Bikes. 2 male announcers. Side note, can we please get some women announcing the women's and the men's races? Would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, I had to watch it because I guess Flow Bikes was only available in Canada. So I watched it partially on HBO, but I had some weird sound, it was the feed sounded like it was sped up, 1.25 or something like that. It was very strange, so I ended up having to use a pirate stream. But yeah.
Well, HBO also kept us guessing. The Strade Bianche disappeared from their programming. So I reached out and I was like, hey, you're the only feed in the United States. Are you going to have it? And by Friday morning yesterday, it was back on the program. But for a lot of people, they were scrambling. They were trying to find alternate ways to watch that race because it was suddenly not on that programming anymore. I'm glad they ultimately showed it, but man, they kept us guessing.
Well, and I had some irritation with Flow because I didn't actually know until this morning that they were going to show the women's race because they just have it listed as Strade Bianche. No mention of if it was going to be women's or not. So, I mean, I was guessing it was because the feed started at 6 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, and we can talk more about that when we talk about Omloop because there were also some problems there. But yeah, do you guys want to talk about when the moto took the chasing group into the wrong turn?
I deeply want to talk about this, especially because I know it's not cycling related, but in the U.S., they had U.S. Track and Field Half Marathon Championships in Atlanta last weekend. And the lead moto, so actually the 3 race leaders, got misdirected on the course. And it was this huge scandal all week with USA Track and Field with how do you handle that situation? And I think this one is pretty similar. That was a group that I would argue could have come back. I think they very well may have come back. I'm gonna drop my opinion, and then I want to hear your takes. I think they should have neutralized the front of the race and just let that gap come back to what it was. That's my take.
Yeah, I don't think I disagree with that at all. I think, the announcers in the feed that I was listening to were saying, oh, the race was already gone by then. They weren't going to come back. Having seen how many times people got dropped and got back on in those last 30K, they would have 100% gotten back with a little bit of organization. So I agree. I think they should have, boss it, neutralized it, have them rejoin the race with the same gap before they took the wrong turn. This is not an instance remember at the Tour de France Femmes, I think it was maybe the first one where Elisa Longo-Borghini took that wrong turn and missed out on the finish, but that was her own doing. This was the moto guiding them. There was a right and left split and just guided them down the wrong descent. And when you're in this race mode, this is not the rider's fault at all. They're not going to look at their map. They're following the moto. They're trusting the moto. They're just going to go. So like those people that say like, well, they have the maps. They should have known from recon. And no, this is 100% not their fault.
Yeah, I wonder what is the UCI's or the race promoters like protocol for making these calls? Because the thing is, they also have the men's race also happening at the same time, right? And they're like, I don't know how many kilometers behind. So I don't know how realistic it would have been to freeze the race until they could get back on course. But also, like I'm of the camp that is part of cycling. And, they because cycling takes place outside on open roads, and that's why spectators can watch it for free and we can have the views that we have. It's just, and, we're all human, so including the motor person, including the first rider who realized that they took the bad turn, and everybody behind who was not looking at their maps, because you don't do that when you're on a chase group, like trying hard to bridge the group in front of you. So I'm just like, that's just cycling, and it made the race interesting. So, but yeah, ideally, in an ideal world, yes, I would have seen the race like put to a stop and people put back and track and restart it.
I don't think it would have taken that long.
They do that for trains, Like if there had been a train, they would have neutralized it and started over again. And that does really suck when that happens to you. But like, in terms of fairness, I think the race would have played out very differently if that group had been able to get back on.
I'm curious with course marking, like you saw most of the roads like that had just, caution tape across them or police tape, whatever. I don't know why that one wasn't actually taped off. I think it should have been. So very frustrating. I think had FDJ not won the race and put two riders on the podium, I would have bet that they would have already filed appeals and lawsuits and whatever else already. But I think they're probably willing to call that one a good day anyway.
Here's a question for you. Do you think FDJ still would have won? Because I think if that group had come back, they would have gone back to racing for Demi, and that dynamic would have shifted.
Yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
Because it was definitely like, when you have this many people going into that finish in Piazza del Campo, I think positioning does matter a lot. You have to be first or second wheel. That's it, because it's so narrow up there and you are like struggling on the bike so much to stay atop of it. So yeah, it would have been just more of a gamble, but I don't know. It was a gamble anyway, right? But Shabby looks so strong.
She really did.
Didn't you have a random fact about her? Something?
Oh yeah. So do you know she's been to the Olympic twice? Once, obviously, for bike racing. But in 2012, she was at the London Olympics. Guess what sport?
I'm going to say rowing?
I think I read that it's canoeing.
Oh, it is slalom canoeing.
Like, I don't even know what that looks like.
It's so wild. You're like, here she is in 2012 as a canoeer, and now she wins Strade Bianche on a bike.
That's well, and here's the funny thing, though, when they kept saying, like, and this is the biggest win of her career, I actually was sort of surprised by that, to be honest, because I was like, I feel like we've been talking about her for so long. Surely she has other huge wins, because I consider her to be in that top 10 could win any race group. So I was actually almost shocked to realize that she hasn't had something until now.
Yeah. She's just been this great, also like super domestique type person that always really does really well in stage races, and it's always up there. But I also, we should do notable mentions to a bunch of other people, because something I'm noticing this year is that, because usually, for example, there were a lot of names at the Tour de France Femme last year that were kind of new to us, right? Like Maeve Squeebon, right, of Team UAE ADQ. And sometimes when the new season starts, it takes them a little while longer to like start popping up again. But so far this season, we're not really seeing that. We're seeing people like our new world champion Magdalene Valieres, Francisca Koch, who else, like doing like these great efforts in the beginning of the season and just showing really, really great form and showing that they're here to stay and it's not just a fluke.
How good was Valieres today? My goodness, that woman, I'm thinking like if she hadn't done as much work as she did, because she was constantly either reeling the group back in or doing the attacking herself. Like she was there making that rainbow jersey proud the entire race. And I think that's super exciting to see because like in Rwanda, everyone was like, who is she? Are we going to see this jersey at all? And this spring, she's just like, I'm here. I'm making this jersey proud. And I think once she gets a little bit more race experience, like, and learns to perhaps not burn so many matches, like she would have, I think if she hadn't worked so hard throughout the race, she would have been more of a contender in those final like 200 meters.
Yeah, and so she finished 5th place behind Elisa Longoborghini, and then her teammate Noemi Ruig got 11th place. And they, they have been working really well. They worked really well in the Tour Down Under earlier this season, which, if I remember correctly, Noemi Ruig won again. Yeah, no, it's been super exciting to see the world champion and race so well and inspire her team, right? EF Education only.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me want to go back to last season and rewatch some of the races and be like, can I spot her? What was she doing in those races? Because my goodness, she was strong.
Right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm loving that Francie Koch is not going to change her racing style whatsoever. Like, she is just going to keep attacking. That was what we called her out for at Tour de France Femmes avec Zwift last year. Not in a bad way, calling her out in like the best way. We were just like, she's just such a funny, fun racer to watch. And I talked to her actually about it a couple months ago. I was interviewing her, and she's so just chill and casual about it. She's like, yeah, when I feel good, I just go, and that's what I do. And now this team is clearly like, so when you feel good, just go and just make it happen. Just go for it. And she's psyched.
Yeah. So who lost today? Like, what team really missed out at Strade Bianche?
Well,
Visma Leasebike?
Yeah, I mean, Mariana Vos finished 7th place, but yeah, they did miss out, but it was just, mechanicals, and like Pauline Ferrand-Prévot had some problems early on, around 60-something or 40-something kilometers to go.
But she did catch back up to that Demi Vollering group. Now, she wouldn't have caught back up to them had they done what I think they should have done and neutralized. Then I think she would have still been off the back. So I guess really it shook out the same way either way. I was sort of expecting this could be exciting, though, because I think she kind of needed to. How do I put this polite? I'm not going to put it politely. I think she needed to get her ass handed to her in a race to like give her that fire back to be like, I'm going to win everything now.
Yeah, she likes being challenged. Well, I
what
will
about
also
SD
say,
Works?
Ooh,
yeah,
didn't even think about SD
Not
Works.
even in the top 10, right? Not at all.
When's the last time you've said that?
Wow. Well,
That's
who
an
was the top
awkward team
place?
bus.
I'm trying to see, right? Yeah. Is it Lotte Kopecky the highest place rider? No. It is not. It's Anna van der Breggen. So Anna van der Breggen, who finished in 18th place. That's not.
Oof.
Yeah, that's oof. They're gonna have a serious team meeting after today. Maybe no Prosecco for them. I mean, they still deserve, everybody who raced it deserved some Prosecco today because that was hard. I mean,
I'm wearing the wrong shirt for this race, guys. Sorry.
Yeah.
yeah.
You're
all
wrong
right.
country.
Yeah. Anyone
Well,
listening, I have my champagne t-shirt on. Very,
Oh.
very just awkward. Poor choice of wines.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I do want us to discuss Omloop Het Nieuwsblad because that was also a very exciting race. And we'll come back to Strade because, Rook, I want to ask you a little bit about the bikes that were used at Strade. But yeah, can we take it away with the recap for Omloop, Rook?
Sure, yeah. We talk about Omloop Het Nieuwsblad because it's still considered the official season opener, even though we've been racing in Australia, the UAE, and Spain since January. For most people, Omloop is really when the season gets going. It's a typical early season race in the Belgian Ardennes. It has lots of steep climbs, narrow roads, and of course, the cobblestones. With most of the toughest climbs being in the final 60K, it took a little while for the race to really get going. And it seemed like the favorites were happy to just sit back, let some smaller breaks get off the road, and then reel them in later. As the race entered the final 30K, it was a 4-person break that was up the road. It was Casperini from UAE, Chabe, again, FDJ, Nina Burton from EF, and Camilla Acebo from Uno X. They were up the road. They had a minute's head start, but we were about to enter the start of the Muur van Gerardsbergen. And for those people that have watched the Classic for a while, this is the iconic climb. It's got that church view on the top. It's got, that steep left-hander. And as we approached the Muur, the gap was slashed in half, and the chase group was coming up, and it was fired by Franziska Koch, who we've been talking about.
Yeah.
She unleashed this searing lead out for Demi Vollering. She just did beautiful teamwork. So she set up Vollering to attack. Vollering attacks. Only Kasia Niewiadoma-Phinney was able to follow. And then Vollering and Kasia were the duo up in the front. It was really nice to see these former Tour de France Femmes winners right together up the Bosberg and into the finish. I remember watching this going, Demi, why are you doing so much work? Kasia was just kind of hanging in, and for a minute I was like, is she just being smart? Is she playing Demi, saving, for that last sprint? But I think realistically that's all Kasia had in her legs that day, because as the sprint neared, Vollering gave it a go and Kasia couldn't respond. So she could not come around her. Vollering won her first Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, but that's already her 4th win of this season. And Lorena Wiebes finished 20 seconds later the sprint for 3rd place.
Incredible. I mean, I'm so glad that I don't mind when the season opener goes to an underdog or something completely surprising, but it's always feels so good when we get a battle like this, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think what it's really showing is that women's cycling is now at this level where, in past years, maybe the early season stuff was a bit more of like, oh, okay, you can have someone kind of random win it. But now it's like, oh, no, these early races matter and we need to show up and actually this counts.
Yeah, and I think it also says that, FDJ is just like gelling really well. I think this is the year where we finally see them like really supporting Demi Vollering as their main, A racer. And unfortunately, I don't see the same from Canyon Cerams on the crypto. It's always Kasia there up there by herself. Do you have any opinions on what's going on there? Like, does she need stronger teammates? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, maybe she needs someone who's able to have that punch. Because Kasia can climb, but she's definitely also a punchy rider. So she needs someone who can match that and help her be laid out. Like, that was so extremely well executed on the Muur van Gerardsbergen, where Koch just attacked, and she wasn't going for herself. She was just setting up Demi beautifully. And Kasia doesn't currently have that rider to do that for her. I was watching that race thinking, oh, they're setting up the rivalry, the Kasia-Demi rivalry. This is going to be it. We're going to see this until they both take a break to get ready for the Grand Tours. But no, I think what we're seeing actually is Kasia being in tremendous form. It's not a Demi-Kasia rivalry. It's Kasia against the rest rivalry as we saw today. So I'm very excited to see what she can do, but I think you're right. I think she does need a little bit more help from her teammates.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I have to say, we didn't talk, or we kind of mentioned her back at Strade, but I'm so excited with these cyclocrossers who are in the current races. I did not really get to shout that out. Puck, this, Strade's her first race this season. Holy crap. I think she's going to be, once she gets those road legs back, she's going to be a major contender. Although, again, almost similar to Kasia, does she have anyone that's going to help her? I think this season, we may actually finally start seeing a bit more of your team really matters. You can't just be an individual who happens to be really, really, really good. You also need a team around you.
Yeah. I wonder if they would also start doing alliances, between Puck and Kasia or something like that. Because at this point, I would be exploring that because otherwise FDJ is going to run away with your money.
A good question. Have we ever heard of that happening in maybe you'd have it in an individual, I guess, in a one race circumstance. But yeah, do you see Puck sliding into Kasia's DMs later? Hey, so
yeah. I mean, if they're smart, there's no paper trail, but we'll see.
You say that though, but remember Phoenix was 2 years ago at the Tour de France Femmes. They were such an exciting team all together, Polina Rojakers and some of the other cyclocrossers. Like, it was a really fun team to watch. And I think maybe we're just too close to the cyclocross season in that people are still coming back from that. So give them a few months is what I'm saying. And we'll see more of that team.
I hope so.
Also, like, I think Omloop Flow Bikes also had some trouble with the broadcast. Their whole broadcast, at least from what I was able to see at home, had no commentary. And then the men's race did have commentary, even though I think they also had their issues. And then when I went to look for their highlights, they had only made highlights for the men's race and not the women's race. Flow Bikes, if you need some help, give us a call, okay?
Or at
we're
least
watching
let
anyway.
us
May as well do
know.
the commentating.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I wish they would let us know if they're not going to have commentary, because honestly, we could set up a Discord where people could hang out and listen to us do the commentary on it or something like that. Just tossing it out there if anyone is interested in that concept.
Yeah, definitely. And Rook, I do have a question because we do want to talk a little bit about tech. We have these two races. They're very different, right? We have Omloop Het Nieuwsblad, which is more of a one-day classic road race that has cobbles and has paved roads, and Strade Bianche has this terrato, which are these farm roads with like mostly. Is it a fine gravel? I think it depends on the
It's
sector,
gravel.
right?
Yeah.
It's gravel, and there's also potholes and that kind of thing. What do the bike setups look like for most teams in these races?
Yeah, it's interesting because you would think that we would see more gravel bikes in these types of races, but generally people are still using their race bikes just because of recent innovations. Race bikes take wider tires now, so I think everyone at this race were on like 30s or 32s. Gone are the days that people were racing 26. That was even a couple of years ago. So I'd say you're going to see 28 mil as a minimum, and some people will go all the way up to 32s. I know that Visma has been experimenting with one-by drivetrains, directly taken from the cyclocross and the gravel disciplines. So yeah, we are seeing a little bit more off-road tech in road racing, but this is still very much road bike territory, not just because there's a lot of pavement, but because these hills are extremely punchy. There's a fair bit of climbing for this being an early season race, and the weight and the geo of a road bike just benefits this type of racing a bit more than gravel bikes, which tend to be slightly heavier and have a geometry that's made more for stability and control than it is for punchy climbing and accelerations.
Yeah, and I also read Josh Croxton from Cycling News wrote this story about how Visma leased a bike, and I'm assuming they did it for both teams because the story didn't specify it was just the men's, that they're actually gluing their tires as if they were tubular tires. Did you read about that at all?
I did see that, and I mean, who had a flat today? Did that really work out for them? I don't know. I think I'm all for experimenting and seeing what they can do. In a race like this, like the gravel isn't super technical, but a flat tire can still ruin your day. So yeah, people keep experimenting. I always it's a pet peeve of mine that we have these incredible innovations happening, electronic shifting, and we still can't get tires to stop flatting. So
yeah, or
that'll
break them. Yeah, because basically to explain listeners, basically they're using tubeless tire setups, right? And I think they're semi-hookless. And so it has the sealant inside, but then they're also gluing the tire itself to the rim, right? That's exactly.
Yeah. So what's been happening with hookless or semi-hookless is they're kind of in hot water at the moment because we've had a couple blowouts, more than a couple actually, and that happens especially when they're using inserts. So like a solid insert inside the tire to be able so you're able to ride the tire even though you're flat. But that's been causing issues with the hookless or semi-hookless setups in that the tire blows off and then you have a big disaster. So I think their reasoning is that if we just glue it, there won't be any blow-ups because they physically can't get off the rim.
Interesting. Can't wait to see what people show up with at Paris-Roubaix.
Yeah, that's always the interesting race when it comes to tech, for sure.
Yeah.
Remember a couple years ago when they were talking? Remember a couple years ago they were talking about those like the tire inflators where your bike you could dial the pressure in during the race. Whatever happened to that? That feels like it did not work.
No, well, that one really, really surprised me. The system, the company that came up with it, they recently filed for bankruptcy. But we saw that system being used specifically by Marianne Vos at the Cyclocross World Championships. The Gravel World Championships 2 years ago, and she won on it. And in the post-race interviews, Lotte was saying that it was highly distracting hearing this like every time they got to a different section, because Marianne Vos was able to change her tire pressure as she went throughout the race. So like there was a hard pavement section, let's put some more air in. It gets rough and loose, let's let some air out. And people argued that she won that sprint because she was able to put a little bit more air in her tires and have a little bit more oomph going forward in that final on-road sprint. So I actually am super surprised that did not take off and that they filed for bankruptcy, because I actually thought that this was, marginal gains worth looking into.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for the casual rider, right? Like, I'm like, I kind of want that.
I mean, it is ideal for when you're doing mixed terrain. So I just hope, another company can continue the research and develop a product that is actually more reliable. But yeah, I just want to know, we're doing good with time. So is there anything else you want to talk about Strade Bianche? Like, were there any new bikes released or any other race moves that we missed?
I think we should shout out like Liv.
Yeah.
Have we seen Trinka Kernel? I'm probably butchering her name, but she had some amazing comebacks in that last 30K. Like, she would get dropped and then she'd come right back up. And the way she did it was so good, where she would come back and just blow through the group and just keep going. And I was pretty sad. I feel like Liv has these riders that just every once in a while just do something really cool that I'm very excited about.
How many of you thought it was Mavi when you were first tuning in? I was like, ooh, Mavi Garcia.
Always.
It is my favorite women.
So her name is Monica Trinka Colonel from Italy, and she's 26 years old. She's mostly a climber and a GC rider. So she finished 8th at Strade Bianche, and earlier this year she was 2nd in the GC for the UAE Women's Tour. So not bad.
I'm going to say, I'm going to argue why she finished 8th. At 2.5 kilometers to go, she took a gel. This is the weirdest move I have ever seen in my entire life. You have 4 minutes left of racing, and you're going to take a gel? That gel is not going to hit your legs till you've been cooling down for 15 minutes. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's mental. I don't know. Maybe she just needed to feel the sugar in her mouth or something.
Yeah, she was probably gassed. I actually, since we were talking about tech, if I may,
go ahead.
Liv did just launch a new bike. It's their Envy Liv, which is their racing platform. They've had that for quite a while, 2012. No, earlier. It was in Rio, I think, after Rio that they came out with this bike. Anyway, it's their Aero road racing bike. They just released it. It is lighter and faster than the previous model. But what was cool about this one is that in the wind tunnel testing, they made a female mannequin, which it seems like such an obvious thing, but like that doesn't happen. All cycling product is tested with the shape of a male mannequin. I mean, the Helmut Giro created for the TT was specifically designed around Jonas Vingegaard's mannequin. Like it's not something that happens very often, and just wanted to shout them out that I thought that was a cool innovation there.
No, amazing. I mean, we have so much to go when it comes to testing things with the, appropriate I don't know what the word is. Sorry, I'm not a scientist. But, like women are different. This happened in many other industries, like the car industry. They only tested in male dummies for a long time. And when they started testing on female dummies, things changed a little bit. Every industry has gone through this thing where they keep designing for the male average. And they forget about us. But we're so thankful for companies like Liv and many others who are realizing that, we need more testing. And speaking of aero testing, Molly, do you want to cue us up for our next segment?
Do, because this year we're also launching a recurring tech segment on the show. So essentially, it's Tech Talk by women, for women, and we're going to be digging into the science, the gear, all the details that can make riders faster, more comfortable, and more confident on the bike. So some of these segments are going to be supported by SILCA. Huge shout out to them. And throughout the season, we'll be exploring everything from tubeless tires and sealant to whether or not waxing your chain is worth it. So with that said, if you have a tech or mechanical question that you'd like us to tackle, please send them to our email. It is info@queenstage.cc, or just DM us on Instagram or Threads @queenstage.cc, and we'll include links to that in the show notes. And today we have a super cool wind tunnel test to discuss. So, Rook, over to you.
Yeah. So one of our favorite ultra-endurance cyclists, Lael Wilcox, is taking on the around the world record again. 2 years ago, she went after the women's record and successfully secured that record. And afterwards, she decided, let's do it again and go after the overall record, which is currently held by a Brit male named Mark Beaumont. And for this, she has to cut 30 days off her time from 2024. So that is a massive undertaking. And she's just pulling out all the stops for this one. The first, her last endeavor was done very much in Lael Wilcox style. She was stopping a lot. She was playing tours. She threw in a bunch of extra climbs just because she likes climbing. She rode with people. It was very much a social endeavor. And this time around, that's just not possible because she has to take 30 days off of her record. Just that saying, taking 30 days off your ride, is insane. But to beat Mark Beaumont's record, she wants to do it in 78 days. And in order to do that, she has to ride roughly 240 miles per day, every day for 78 days, which that's a lot. And so her goal is to pace herself at 15 miles per hour for 16 hours a day, or if possible, 60 miles per hour for 15 hours a day, so she get an extra hour of recovery. So in order to be able to do that, she went to Morgan Hill, to the Specialized headquarters, to do some wind tunnel testing and see what kind of aerodynamic gains she could get. And one of the biggest takeaways that I talked to her about this week was her hair. So they tested long hair, braids, buns, all the different ways you might do your hair in a helmet. But in the end, what she's going to do is she's going to buzz cut her head, which is cool.
Love it.
And you would think, okay, well, how many watts of that safer? But this isn't actually about watts per se. It's about practicality. So she's saying, if I don't have to wash or brush or maintain my hair, I'm going to save 10 minutes a day on not having to do my hair. And 10 minutes a day over 78 days means she's going to save 13 hours just by having a buzz cut. So that was a rather fascinating
That's pretty
takeaway.
good. Yeah, I mean, I forgot about that. I've had short hair for a long time now, but I first cut it when I was 16 and I was playing soccer at the time. And that's the first thing I realized, like, oh my God, like I don't have to dry my hair or like do all these things, like figure out what ponytail or what braid I'm going to do for the game or this or that. So yeah, it really saves time.
True. Helmet hair, no longer an issue. It's just,
No, whatsoever.
you're good.
I love it. I love that she's like, yep, I'm just going to buzz it. And honestly, I probably do the same. You know, think about how
Yeah.
nice that is and freeing to not have to deal with your hair all the time.
No, yeah, and it
Have
also
done, will do.
you will cool off a lot faster too. I mean, it means that you also get cold when it's really cold if you can't cover your ear, especially. Like people don't think about these things, but your ears do get cold.
Yeah. She did say that she's going to probably buzz her head a little ahead of time just to acclimatize and get her head ready, not just to the cold, but to the sun as well. Because blistering sunburns would sound pretty awful
Yes,
as
that's
well.
true. That is so true. Even if you buzz it, and then you'll get sun through your helmet and get some marks there. This is super interesting because I thought for some reason that maybe they would find that a braid or a special type of ponytail would be faster.
A
but
bun,
no,
a bun certainly is faster than a ponytail. Just like tuck it
Okay.
away, which makes sense because you're basically getting it away from your neck and your head and tucking it behind there. But yeah, if you're willing to to buzz your hair, go for it.
I mean, I'm like, wait, we have two people with very short hair on the podcast, so we're like, yeah, it totally makes sense.
I mean, my hair is very long. I couldn't imagine just like buzzing it off. But the thing is, she also looks great. Like I saw the mock-up of her hair. She can really pull off that G.I. Jane look. It suits her
that
well.
was what I was gonna say. Actually, I saw that and I was like, oh, she actually looks fantastic like that. Like, she really should just do it from like an aesthetic.
Yeah, they did the mock-up. Yeah.
Oh my God,
that's incredible.
Could she please go to a barber and get like some kind of sweet like design in the side, maybe like 78, or like if she, if a sponsor wants to come in, do the specialized S on the back or something.
That'd be cool.
I think she should investigate that further. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I also wonder. Go ahead.
I'm guessing we'll talk about Lael beyond her haircut a lot this season because this is such an incredible endeavor, and I'm excited to see her go after this overall record. It's a fantastic Battle of the Sexes story, and I have zero doubt that she is going to crush it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think we'll see other people busting their heads as well.
Yeah. Well, definitely listeners should let us know if they want to maybe have us do like a tiny little segment in all of our summer episodes while she's going, a bit of like where in the world is Lael and like updates on the record, because that's going to be happening right during the heart of the season for us. So, and we know she listens to us on the road, so maybe a little shout out every once in a while will be nice for her.
Keep her
company,
wonder
if by the end of her around the world ride, she's going to have a little tuft of hair poking up her helmet like Pogacar.
This makes you faster. That is it today for Queen Stage. We will be back with a recap and analysis of Milano-San Remo Donne on Saturday, March 21st. So make sure you are subscribed. Huge thank you again to Ruckus Composites and SILCA. And again, if you have any tech questions, don't forget to send them to us at info@queenstage.cc or just reach out on Instagram. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the spring classics to come, and we'll be back soon with more race analysis and stories from the women's peloton.